Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Resilient Show. I'm Chad Robichaux, as many of you know. Azizullah Aziz, my friend, my interpreter. I think most people know Aziz's story. Aziz is the subject of the best-selling, Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Saving Aziz, which is being made in a motion picture film. And he was my interpreter in Afghanistan, my teammate in Afghanistan. Aziz is my friend. And he's already been on the show. We've already heard his story. I want to talk a little bit about how you became an interpreter, but one of the main reasons that I wanted to bring you on today was to talk about, help me with his name,
Rahmanullah.
His last name?
Lakanwal.
That guy.
Yeah.
Right. This guy betrayed us, the Afghan community that's been here. Bad name for all of you guys.
Yes.
And his American friends who's welcomed him here. He went to Washington D.C. and he on November 26th, I'm going to read it here. He shot two National Guardsmen. If most people have heard the story, he used a .357 Magnum revolver, shot both of them in the head, and killed one. The one that he killed was Sarah Beckstrom, who's 20 years old. A female soldier. And also shot Andrew Wolf, who's 24 years old, recovering, critically wounded and recovering. And this guy, one of the things that we have continued to hear is how he was vetted, right? And how he was vetted twice by the CIA. Now, for those who don't know, the CIA has a program called the Zero Unit, which is essentially like a hit squad for the Taliban. They go out and hunt Taliban. And so when you recruit someone to do this, they do get vetted. But the vetting that is done for someone in a Zero Unit or someone that serves with special operations, or even someone that serves in the military, they're being vetted for their level of working as a combatant or an interpreter, not to be in the United States. There's a big difference, right? And there's also the sense of we're in the same team. Like, they hate the Taliban. We don't like the Taliban. We hate the Taliban. We're in the business of killing the Taliban. So an enemy of my enemy is my friend. We're going to work together for this mission. But even then, there's inherent risk that we know when we work with local nationals that they could turn on us at any time. Me and you have spent nights on the mountainside with Basir,
Yes.
who, if you read the book, Basir, I spelled Bashir in the book, but Basir worked with us I worked with him for about 18 months. You worked with him for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
He was CIA vetted.
Right.
In the CIA program. And you and I spent the night on the side of the mountain with him. And Basir flipped on us. And he had several of our teammates captured. I know some that you worked you worked directly with the Taliban to get released. Others that I worked with that we knew was compromised because of that were captured and killed. And ultimately, our house had a V-bid driven into it. I get rolled up by a foreign intelligence agency because of it. And this was a guy that we trusted our life with. When the command rolled him up and caught him, he had notepads with Chad sleeps in this room. Chad drives this vehicle. He leaves at this time. The safe is here. He had been collecting on us. CIA vetted guy.
Right.
It's one thing for our service members and our paramilitary officers at the CIA or our special operators or just our service members to work with wartime allies in Afghanistan, our Afghan counterparts. It's a lot different to be our neighbors. And so there's a process for vetting them for that. And there's a whole separate process through the U.S. State Department to come through a special immigrant visa process to come here to the United States and live amongst, the fellow citizens. And so one does not qualify for the other. And you are a perfect example of that because you did both. You served at JSOC. You started off at 3rd Special Forces Group. You went to the U.S. State Department, worked in Anti-Terrorism Assistance Task Force. Then you got recruited and came over to JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command. You worked at the highest level of special operations. For 16 years, you did this.
Yes.
Polygraph, background checks, everything. And then after that, all that service, you still had to wait 10 years in the special immigrant visa process to get approved for your green card, which you just did, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Super proud and grateful to see that happen. 2 days before this idiot Rockmul or whatever his name is shot our service members. So thankful you got that before that. But you didn't just come here. you had to go during the evacuation. We got you and Katra and your 6 kids brought you guys to Abu Dhabi in the UAE, and then you had to wait there at that lily pad for 9 months to get vetted there. So you had all this other vetting, and you still had to do this vetting. So what I want to talk about and kind of specifically talk about is the 2 processes. One, what's your opinion, the difference between the process of being vetted as a combatant, like when you worked with us at JSOC, and the process of being vetted to come here and get your green card? And can you explain to everybody listening that there's 2 systems, and why are there 2 systems, what it was like going through both?
Well, thank you, Chad. First of all, I want to express my condolences to the families of the National Guards, the one that we lost her. I'm praying for patience, strength at this hard time for their family and their remaining friends. And I'm also praying for the one who is wounded for a quick recovery. As you mentioned, there is 2 different processes. Like I applied in 2015 for the special immigrant visa. But yet, in August 15, 2021, my country collapsed. My visa was still in the process. There was no progress in that. There was all kinds of background checked and everything. But then I was evacuated to Abu Dhabi. I spent 9 months in limbo with my children, my wife, where we were treated as prisoners. You know, we had food, we had water, we had internet, but we didn't have the freedom to go outside, like to walk from one building to another building. I remember when you would come over there and give me a little chance to come outside and enjoy the sun because of you, because you would tell those people to let him in, I'm here to visit him. And same thing with Dano. But when you look at the DHS process, the CBP process, the U.S. consulate process, that's totally a different thing than working with the military during the time of operations. Like every man who's serving at that time, they have to go through polygraphy, background checks, their families, their histories, their phones are being tapped on, and they're making sure that who they are talking daily to, and there is all kinds of encryptions and security systems going on. This guy, Rahmanullah Lakanwal, I think he was one of the guys who got the chance to sit on a plane and come here directly. Mm-hmm. And he was a man that he lost his purpose, he lost his country. He was trained to fight, he was a fighter. But if somebody, when all of a sudden everything is taken from them, first of all, this is not a good action that happened, because that's actually affecting all the Afghans, and there is a lot of hatred and negative impact for the Afghan community, especially for a halt on their visas, and there is no progress on their visas. That creates a lot of depression and anxiety and all kinds of problems, mental problems. So this guy, he didn't, I think he was not mentally ready to live in the United States. He was a good ally. He was a friend, and he hated Taliban. The Americans also hated the bad guys, and they were all working together over there. But mentally, I think this guy was not ready to live in the United States, because over there, he might have been a platoon commander. He might have been a battalion commander, which that's a high position. You have a lot of people under you. But over here, he was probably Ubering. He was probably working in a restaurant, and sometimes it's very hard for them to work in those kind of low-income jobs, especially for the people who served in the very high positions. So there is PTSD problems, mental health problems, and there may be other pressures on him, like from Afghanistan, because the evacuation was not just a political thing. Hearts were broken, families were separated, and a lot of things happened. I mean, people lost friends, people lost families, and they are still losing every day. There is a lot of pressure on their females. There is a lot of economical pressure over there. If you're not a Taliban, you cannot get a job. So when you put all those little pieces together, that creates a bomb that would explode and hurt a lot of people. Because this is why I'm saying this, because if you take the purpose from somebody, if you take his identity for whatever reason, or if it happens automatically, or if policies are changed and somebody loses their purpose, then it's very hard for them. And then on the other hand, when you look at them, there is English barrier problems, and there is the other thing is like they don't have a retirement plan. They have financial hardships. And when you put all these little things, that's like everyday Afghans are carrying hidden pain. There is no VA program, recovery programs for them like the American veterans who receive all kinds of benefits from them. But still, we see like at least 17 to 22 people each day, they commit suicide. Why? Because they lose purpose, they lose identity, and they lose their job for some reason, or their contract is finished. So in general, for all the Afghan veterans, I'm recommending that, especially the VA here in the United States, that they should be giving some benefits at least, so that they can have a purpose in their lives and they can merge to communities. And then on the other hand, I'm calling on all the Afghans that they should actually merge to their communities. They should become mentally ready. If you're not ready to live here mentally in the United States, if you are still living in the past, if you still holding with your old traditions, it's like, you're holding two watermelons in one hand. That's not going to work. You have to either drop one of them and hold one of the other one. Like in my case, I remember the first few months, I was hurting pretty bad. And thank God and thank to you and to the Mighty Oaks Foundation that you sent me to the program. That's when I really realized that trauma is a big thing. This is something that's never been discussed in the Afghan communities. They are born with trauma from the very childhood because they use intimidation in Afghanistan force to train their children. The men are taught over there that whatever problems come into your heart or mind, and you just have to live it and stay silent, stay strong. It's a masculinity thing that you cannot even share it with another man. You cannot even ask for help because you lose that pride of manhood over there.
Yeah. I mean, you said a lot there that I agree with. The one is that going back to the vetting. Vetting is absolutely necessary. I mean, for this guy to come here without vetting, and I want to talk about how he got here first of all, because he was vetted by the CIA, right? We talked about to be a combatant, but he was not vetted to come here to the United States. We're going to talk about the planes and how the planes came here, and he was one of the ones that did not get vetted, like yourself. But when people assimilate into America, whether they came here illegally, maybe he didn't come here illegally because our U.S. government brought him here, but he did not come in through the process, right? Or people come here like you did. I believe that part of the vetting process should include someone's ability to assimilate. Because this is America. This isn't Afghanistan. This isn't Iraq. This isn't Somalia. This is America. And so someone's going to come from Mexico, from wherever. If they're going to come to America, when they go through their citizenship process, they take an oath. And that oath they take is to be an American citizen and abide by the Constitution. And that means assimilating, right, into America. And so I believe if we're asking people to do that, for those that we do vet and those that we do give legal permission to come over and be part of that citizenship process, to welcome them, I believe there are some things that we should be doing. I don't agree with you on bringing them into the VA, although I do agree with the process. The VA should be separate. But I do believe if we're going to bring a wartime ally who served alongside service members in a war that the United States participated with them in, and you're going to bring them back into America and expect them to assimilate in society, you should probably recognize that they probably do have the same hardships and issues that our service members have. Even more so because they didn't do 2-3 deployments. They did every day. Right. Exactly. And then they had to leave their country and they still have family members. There's going to be some trauma there. Yes. And if we want them to healthily assimilate in our culture, there should be some assistance for that. And if we can't do that, then don't bring them over in the first place, because we risk something like what happened in DC. So there is some, look, I'm going to say some things that are by no means an excuse for what this lunatic monster did, because that's what he is. He's a complete scumbag to kill these innocent service members who are just standing out there on the side. I mean, it's National Guardsmen, 2 young National Guardsmen. I mean, complete scumbag for doing that.
Yep.
So I'm not giving him any way out. But what I'm saying is, you have to look at who you bring here. The government brought him here without vetting him. Tons of combat. So he's probably had combat trauma, PTSD. So now he's had mental issues. We all know that we left Afghanistan in a way that was not fair to our allies, to all you guys. We betrayed our promise to our allies. And so there's probably some bitterness and hurt there. Now he's trying to get his visa in process. They said he was reaching out to his old unit. He was trying to get paperwork. He couldn't get a hold of anybody. No one's returning his emails. The process is very difficult. It's very broken. So there's some frustration there. He's trying to work jobs. He was important. And he was with the CIA. He was important there, right? And now he's driving an Uber. He's working at restaurants. He's washing dishes. He's doing like low, very humiliating work. He can't feed his family. Maybe he has a sister, a mother back in Afghanistan, being God knows what by the Taliban. Sexually abused. There's so many circumstances that could have made him bitter, cynical, vindictive. And also, this creates an opportunity. If I'm in the State Department looking at vetting people, this creates an opportunity to radicalize. If I'm the Taliban, if I'm ISIS in recruiting, these are the people, and we know this from our old job, these are the people we're going to go after. Someone that's mad and frustrated, to go after and radicalize them, to initiate them to attack or exploit them and say, hey, by the way, I know you're already mad at the U.S. government, but guess what? We have your sister over here. Here's a video of her, and we're going to do what we want to her every day until you go and do this act, right? So as you vet people and bring them in our country, these are the things that should be looked at. But we had an incident happen during the Afghanistan evacuation where tens of thousands, I'm told 80 to 100,000 people were put on planes and flown to the United States unvetted. They came straight in the United States, and you mentioned this, and we're here for maybe a month or so before they were let out into the American public with no vetting. Now, before we go further in that topic, I want to say this. It's very important to say to me. This was a decision by the White House, the Biden-Harris White House, and the State Department that was under the command of Secretary Blinken. That's who made these decisions. Our U.S. service members that were at HKIA, they're the heroes, did an amazing job. I mean, Tyler Vargas, who lost limbs at Abbey Gate, those 13 service members that paid the ultimate price for their lives at Abbey Gate, those are the heroes. The NGOs and stuff like that got a lot of their credit, but it was those service members working those gates, holding the airport down, in spite of the White House and State Department putting them in a terrible position, gave the NEO operation, a non-combatant evacuation operation, away from the Department of Defense to the State Department to treat our service members like they were embassy guards, and put them in that position that we lost 13 of our service members. Like these were the heroes there. So they were not at fault for this, but they were commanded to load up planes. And the people that came through that gate were not the best of Afghanistan. They were not you, Aziz. The people that came through that gate, we don't know who they were. And they were told to fill up those planes. And those planes did not do the NGO process. They came straight to the United States. And I want to make, when I say the NGO process, I want to educate those listening right now, because I spent a lot of time on Fox News the last few weeks talking about this. There were some accusations that come, talking about the NGOs, me, other people, the NGOs brought the people we evacuated to the United States. Clear that up real simple. There's no NGO, non-government organization, there's no nonprofit that brought even one Afghan to the United States. That's not legal. It's not possible. An NGO does not have the authority to bring someone a non-citizen into the United States. If you just pause and think about it for 3 seconds, you'll know that's not even possible. The only person that can do that is the U.S. government. So the only Afghans that came from Afghanistan and the United States were under the authority of the U.S. government. Every NGO, every one of them, brought people to third-party lily-pad countries. If I could have brought anyone to the United States, it would have been you. And I couldn't bring you. I had to bring you to UAE, and you spent 9 months there doing the process. So anybody that thinks that NGO did that, it's just not true. But the government did. They loaded planes at HKIA, 80 to 100,000, flew them straight to the United States, and within 1 to 3 months, all of them were dispersed across the country. We don't know who they are, where they are. And I even wrote in this book, I said, I pray I'm wrong, but Afghans that came on these planes are going to do a terrorist attack in the United States, and the NGOs will get blamed for it. And unfortunately, I was right. And that happened. I thought it would happen sooner, to be honest with you. But it did happen. And so this guy, Ramallah, I keep messing up his name. Ramallah would have, he was not vetted. He came here on one of those planes. At the time of you getting, going through this process, would that make you feel to know all these, that you did all this stuff, you did it the right way, and you had to wait while other people came here, the shortcut?
It actually didn't feel well. Like even when I was in Abu Dhabi, I was seeing people make it in the United States that they didn't even deserve.
Right.
It was not easy when seeing planes taking off while we were staying back, while my children were under depression, while I applied in 2015, but yet at that time it was 2021, still we were pushed back and we were told that, hey, your documents are in the process, you have to wait, we cannot push it more than this, regardless of how many congressmen and women does it took them to talk about me. Send emails to them. You sent email to them. Dano sent email to them. Like Gary sent them email. Everyone was sending emails, but no one was accepting. Like it is actually, my heart broke actually. Like I became disappointed to a point where I decided that I'm going to Brazil instead of it from Abu Dhabi, because there was a chance that Brazil opened its embassy and they were just issuing visas for the Afghans who were tired of being over there, waiting for their cases to be approved. I even didn't get a chance to come to the United States through my special immigrant visa because that was still in the process and they were doing all kinds of background check and vetting because this lily pad gave them this opportunity to do that. Otherwise, they would be hurrying and pushing things quicker. But
someone kept taking your name off the list.
Yeah,
because we had your name on it several times, and someone was going behind and taking your name off.
Exactly,
it happened 3 times.
Yeah, it was one of the guy from Morocco or somewhere who was a contractor at the U.S. consulate over there, and he removed my name and my children's name, and I even heard he told somebody that he's not going.
Yeah,
he's not going, and then I had to apply for the Operation Ally Welcome, the humanitarian parole visa, to come here because there was no other possible way. Because if I would wait for my special immigrant visa, that I got the COM approval at the end of last year for the special immigrant visa. It took him like nine years just to get the COM approval, and then another year to just get approved for the green card.
So, I can imagine that feeling, right? And I was feeling it for you when it was happening. Like it was so frustrating for me, but I wasn't in your shoes. I wasn't sitting there waiting every day, and I was trying to encourage you the whole time. But you were the one sitting behind that wall waiting, and behind the wall. When I say behind the wall of a humanitarian center in UAE for 9 months, and so I want to go back to HKIA. You're outside the gate. You're not evacuated yet. Katra just had appendix surgery. She's bleeding. We're trying to get you through the gate. What was it like? What was it like trying to get, from your perspective, trying to get through? For me, it was like so frustrating. We were trying everything to get you through. We were coordinating with everyone. We couldn't get you there. We tried 8 times. and you were wanting to give up, and we just kept trying to make it happen. What was it like for you and outside, for everyone listening?
Personally, for me and my children, it was very hard. It was very chaotic. There was hopelessness. There was a danger that every single minute we could have been shot at and we would be dead. There was chances of suicide attackers every minute, every single minute. But for some of the people who were just by themselves, men or young boys, it was easier for them to just run through the crowd or among the crowd and get in the plane. But for me, for a person like me with 6 children and a wounded wife, it was very difficult. Like there were 3 different circles of security. The outer perimeter was given to the Taliban by the State Department or whoever was in charge. They were installed to provide security. For that itself created a danger. Like I couldn't even carry my documents with me. I had to scan them, send them to my email, save them in a drafts, and then burn all my hard copies because...
Which is crazy, right? I want everybody to think about that for a second.
Yes.
The U.S. State Department, who's responsible for getting the qualified people, which mean Americans with blue passports, right? And you're talking like 20-year-old girls that are out there teaching English or working in a hospital or an orphanage, like it's mostly like young volunteers, right? Or medical workers or legal people. You're talking Afghan allies, right? You're telling them that people that qualified, you have to get to the airport. The White House said, if you want to leave, just got to get to the airport. So then they give the NEO operation to the State Department, and the State Department assigns the outer perimeter to our enemy of 20 years, the Taliban. And anybody that knows anything about military ground space knows that whoever controls the outer perimeter controls that ground space. They had control. And we're telling our people to go through these checkpoints while, and this is not embellishment or like fear, like creating fear, like they were killing people in the streets.
Yes.
They were shooting people in the streets. They were hanging people in the streets.
They were kidnapping. They were stopping people. They were searching, and they were looking at people. I mean, it was very chaotic. It was very dangerous. It was like you were playing. You had your head at your hand. Like every minute there was a chance that your head could drop on the ground. Like I saw women got shot at. I saw children got shot at because there was a lot of firing going on. The zero units guys were firing, the Taliban were fighting, and the Marines were also fighting in the air just to spread the crowd because they were also afraid. A lot of people were pushing themselves to get closer to them, and they all had these Afghani scarves, Afghani clothes, and nobody knew who is who. It was very hard and very disappointing. Like there was a time like after 5 days and 5 nights without food and a little bit of water, this wounded wife, we tried and tried and tried every morning to evening and then every night to the morning. We couldn't make it. It was not possible. But then finally when I told you that, hey, I'm going to Tajikistan, if you can save me, come over there. And you reminded me of who I was, how much dangerous missions you and I did over there. And that actually gave me a little hope and a little energy because my wife at that time, she was pushing. She's like, Aziz, I would rather die inside this taxi, but not under the feet of all that crowd over there. Because she's already bleeding and she's scared to death and there is no progress. But luckily when those guys came out and they saw me, they helped me, they actually facilitated to... even then, when we were
shout out to
saved,
them. This is the JSOC pararescue unit that came out and got you.
We had to go through security at that time, like the searches, and then we were not just brought and sit on the plane. We were searched, we were identified based on the list, and then they checked with Dano, they checked with you to make sure that you have the right guy. They took a picture of me and my family and sent it to you. And, there was all kinds of vetting and security checks, everything, even on the ground for the NGOs that were doing the evacuation. But then on the other hand, they had the UAE government security guards. Before loading them to the plane, they were also checking the list. They were checking their passports. I remember there was one young kid who entered among my kids, he made it to the airport. He was crying. He said that his family already left. He doesn't know where they went. His documents, everything was with his family. He was probably like a 16-year-old kid. He wanted to come to Abu Dhabi among my children. So, but then the people who were allowing the immigrants to come on the C-17 planes, when they saw his name was not on the list, they didn't let that kid to come climb on the plane. They pushed him back, and he was crying. He was calling me, "Hey, uncle, please save me. My family already left. I don't know what should I do by myself over there." I mean, it was really heartbreaking situation, but I could do nothing for him because he was not on the list.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people have really made a lot of kind of speculation about those who went to the UAE, like, hey, were they vetted? Who? And again, I'll say that no NGO brought anyone to America. They evacuated people from Afghanistan. That's a big difference. Evacuating someone out of a war zone to bring people to America. Like you said, when they got to UAE, then it's on the State Department. The state, and not just the U.S. State Department, State Department of Canada, Brazil,
exactly,
Australia, wherever they were going to go. It's we evacuated people from a war zone into a lily-pad country who welcomed them to have that process available for any country in the world that wanted to bring people over, including America. So that's another defensive statement for the NGOs, which I think is warranted to say. When we talk about those planes that the White House and State Department flew straight to America, unvetted, who would those people have been on those planes? I mean, to me, we don't know who they were. And from what I understand about the evacuation at HKIA, it was the crowd surging forward. The strongest of the crowd is going to get to the front and get in those gates. That's why we see mostly men on those planes.
Exactly.
Can you explain what that was like on the ground and who those men might have been?
Well, honestly, like if somebody didn't have a family, if somebody was strong enough, if somebody was just a boy or a man, they were the ones that actually they were making it very easily because they could climb from the concertina wire, they could climb from over the gates, they could just push among the crowd, and even the Marines were not able to hold them back. They were shooting in the air, but the crowd was running towards the plane. So I think a lot of the people, like the Afghan National Army soldiers, like the police, the NDS guys, and who knows among them who else was over there, because the Policharki jail was opened, and a lot of people, when they came out from Policharki jail, they didn't know where to go, and they saw what's happening in the airport, and a lot of them forced themselves to come and get inside the airport.
And most of those prisoners that came out of Policharki jail would have been a lot of Taliban, right?
Taliban, ISK, probably Al-Qaeda, probably the very different terroristic organization prisoners that were being held at Policharki jail for years. Because once the government collapsed and the Taliban took over, they opened the gates for everybody.
Same at Bagram jail, right?
Same thing at Bagram jail, everything. Because the
how many people did we let out at Bagram jail before the evacuation?
There was 50,000 Taliban men were released with beautiful boots and clothes and turbans. Everything was gifted to them by the Afghan government, because the Afghan government was pressured that they have to release them so the Taliban becomes ready for the negotiations in Qatar.
And so many, there was nothing to say that those people that we let out of jail came to that gate and would have gotten those planes.
It was very, I cannot reject this. I mean, there is the probability of that those guys probably got the chance and got on the planes and came here. Who knows? I mean,
who knows, right? Yeah, I'm not saying it did, but
exactly.
I mean, to me, it's like if you think of the strongest of the group, right? That would be
like the very first days when they were flying these people, especially when they were bringing them directly over here. I heard the shopkeeper who was just across the street, and he got the chance to sit on a plane, and he ended up in Germany. And then there was another taxi driver who ended up in Abu Dhabi. Then there was another guy who had a wheelbarrow. He was kind of hauling loads for people. He saw the chance and he made it to United States. There is a lot of those kind of people that they arrived and they had no documents, but because they were Afghan and they said that their life was under threat from the Taliban or from whatever, they were issued employment authorizations, humanitarian parole, and they were led to just walk in the American communities without making sure that if they are ready mentally or not, or without any psychological inspections or checkings for these guys. It's because it's two different sides of the world. Once you're living on the other side and then you're coming over here, if you are not mentally and physically and spiritually and socially, if you're not ready, this beautiful United States is sometimes, it makes people crazy. You have to be mentally, physically, spiritually, and socially. You have to accept it, that this is home. These are my friends and my brothers and my sister, and you have to abandon the old traditions. If you're still holding the old traditions and if you're still continuing the old belief system and all the things from the past, it's not possible to live at the same time at the present tense and also in the past tense.
You've been around Americans for a long time now. I mean, since 2002, right?
Yes.
2002, you've been around Americans, and then you've been living here for 4 years now?
Almost 4 years now.
Okay. Having spent most of your life in Afghanistan and then been here for 4 years, do you think the ideologies of Afghanistan culture, the structure, Sharia structure of Islam, do you think you could have those things and assimilate healthily in American society? Or you talked about abandoning some of those things. Do you think you have to abandon those things to live here and integrate healthily into American culture?
I think it is very important that when you arrive somewhere new, you have to accept the freedom, the benefits, the communities. You have to assimilate, you have to integrate, because if you do not, you feel odd. Like if you are physically showing it but then spiritually, if you are hiding it, it's not possible. The Afghan culture is one thing, and then the Sharia law is another thing. These two different things, if they were good, they would have positive impacts over there in those countries for them, like Afghanistan or some other countries, the third world countries. Like in my country, when you look at it, the 5 decades of war, this is where did the bad guys get their motivation from? Where do they get the justifications? Like Afghans are killing Afghans. Some sided with Russians, some sided with Americans, some others sided with Iranians or Pakistanis. And, it's like the heat is going on, and Afghans are just killing each other for no reason for 5 decades. I think the main source of all these wars, all these crimes that are happening is under the Sharia law. Because each group, like when you look at, study the history of Afghanistan, when Mujahideens were killing the communists, they were justifying it based on the Quranic verses or the hadiths from Prophet Muhammad. And then when you look at it at the same time, like during the Taliban and the Afghan National Army, the conflicts and the war, I heard this from the mouth of the Taliban on the radio, like the radio sometimes when we were on the operations, that they were saying each other that Allah has ordered us that we have to slaughter them. The Afghan allies, the Americans, anyone who is helping the invaders, their hands should be cut from right here, according to the Sharia law. So according to them, like right now, my hands should be cut, both of them, from the edge of my shoulders, because I helped my American friends. I helped them. I served with them together. Why? Because I wanted freedom for my country. I wanted to see education for my daughters, for the Afghan women and girls. I wanted all the free and human rights, the rights that God has given us on this world to acquire and live with. But, if you're coming with those ideologies and you're still holding to that, then you're trying to impose it here over there, then if it was that good, why you didn't stay over there with them? Why are you over here? In the United States, the freedom, all the free rights and everything is because of the Constitution of Afghanistan, the Constitution of the United States of America. I think no law should be pushed to replace the Constitution, because the Constitution is the very first blessed thing that the American people have, and that keeps them in unity, that gives them all kinds of free rights, that gives them all kinds of choices and everything that they need in their life. So when you look at all these countries that they have the Sharia law, and then they have their local masculinity or traditions or cultures, and then they're fleeing from that, but then they're coming over here and they're trying to impose it on us. Sometimes it really pisses me off. I'm like, why did you just forget that you fled because of that? You didn't accept that in your own country. You came here because America has a constitution that gives all the rights for free for a human being, regardless of its race, culture, religion. Religion is allowed to be practiced under the Constitution, but you cannot impose it on the other people who already are blessed with all the natural benefits from God. Then why would you impose something that didn't work for you, but you come here in a state of appreciating the freedom, in a state of accepting what it is already here and how it's helping the communities and how communities are benefiting from it? You come and you forget about your past and you try to impose your own radical strategies or laws.
And you see, beliefs. I mean, you've seen it. We've seen it happen all throughout Europe right now. I mean, in Britain, yes. Especially like London, man. Like, exactly. I mean, I think it's lost, and now you're seeing it, rising up here in America, where you got people who are free to practice Islamic religion here, but then they're saying that they're going to impose it in every household in America, and this is what they would call a caliphate, right?
Exactly.
Can you explain what a caliphate is?
This is exactly what the Taliban did. A caliphate it's like an Islamic conquering and invasion of the whole world. Like there has to be a Muslim Amir that everyone has to follow him. And, everything should be happening based on the Sharia law. Like every man and woman and children, boy or girl, they have to forcefully convert to Islam. They have to accept Islam. That's their main goal. Their main goal is that they want to convert either by force, either by negotiations or by invitations or by whatever means. That's their last goal. At first, they are told that they have to use the very soft method of inviting them. So when their number increases, and then when they see a threat, they use coercive force, such as invading, such as torturing, such as killing, because it's written over there that if kill all those who does not believe in Allah and Muhammad. And it's sometimes when I look at some people that when they say that Islam is very peaceful, Islam is not peaceful. Islam means surrender. Like when you have a gun in your hand and you point it to somebody and you tell him to surrender. So when you surrender, you give them your will, you give them your rights, you give them everything that God has given you, so that they align or assign rules for you, policies for you, how to go to the bathroom, they have a rule for you. How to eat your food, they have a rule for you. How to wear your clothes, they have a rule for you. Everything will be controlled. You will become a slave. This is what the Caliphate, the Islamic Caliphate, or the big vision of the Islamic Caliphate means.
And it is convert or die, right?
Yes.
In the end. It
Yes.
starts off slow, but
Yeah,
convert or die.
Yeah, that's their main goal.
So, I mean, what you just said, that the lie that Islam is a religion of peace, a lot of people defend Islam and say it's a religion of peace. Why do you think people do that? Where's the lie come from? Is it a false front by Islam, or is it people outside of Islam defending it that way?
There's many different factors on that one. One of the factors is that when a child is born in a Muslim family, he is taught from the very childhood that Islam is peaceful, that Prophet Muhammad is, one of the best creature of God, that God created this world because of him, because he loved him so much. God created this world. When I looked at it, at first I didn't know, then I saw that they copied the story of Jesus and they're trying to reshape it and say like that. But then the children are forced to go to the mosques. They are allowed to study the books while they are in Arabic. Like in my case, I was born to a Muslim family. I was attending mosques every day. I was memorizing these verses, not knowingly what does it mean. When I really found the opportunity to study it through the internet, from the blessing of the internet, I was able to read it in my own language for the first time, and then I found out how chaotic it was. And all those days that I was praying, it was not a prayer of love. It was not a prayer of respect. It was just, most of them were like cursing, like curse the Israel, curse the unbelievers, curse all the people who are infidels, and curse all the people who does not believe in the same faith or ideology. It is very dangerous. It is not peaceful. If you study the verses directly from the Quran, that there is a direct command from Allah that to go kill anyone who does not believe in Allah and his messenger, Muhammad. So it comes from not studying enough in their own language, and then
which they control it, right? They control
Exactly.
who learns and how they learn.
Exactly. Who they learn and how they learn. It's controlled by the imams and it's told for them. I mean, like the different flower gardens are shown to them like castles in the air. But then when you physically touch it, you physically start your own. Like, don't study it that you believe it. Study it to find out the truth. Like sometimes, you have 2-3 different books and you're studying it. You don't want to study it just to believe it, but you want to study it to see who is saying the truth. To find the truth, then that's the time that you will understand that it's not peaceful. It's full of wars. There are 100 something direct commands to go and kill people, and kill them from the right and kill them from the left. That's why a lot of the people, when you see they get shot at their necks, because it is written over there in their hadiths, in their Quran, that when you find these guys who do not believe in Allah and the Prophet Muhammad, kill them. So they get all their justifications from that one, and then they are promised that they can have 4 wives at the same time on this life. That when they die, they can have 70 virgins in the hereafter life. So those are the things, like for somebody who was born in a village of Waziristan in Pakistan, where there is no internet, there is no electricity, TV is not allowed to watch. They are kept centuries away from civilization. So for those kind of people who does not know nothing about the rest of the world, about the civilization, about the different faith belief system that we have today, they automatically, they fall in love for whatever that's given to them, for whatever that's taught to them. They fall in love into that, and to the extent that they commit suicide. Like I saw the pictures of the videos of the suicide attackers when they were, before they were sent to explode themselves. They were laughing. They were laughing because they were told that 70 virgins are waiting for you, beautiful virgins. They were showing them some blonde girls' pictures on a computer, and they were telling them that that's paradise. You see, all those girls are waiting for you. We contacted this guy who is the head of the Ministry of Interior in Afghanistan, the Sirajuddin Haqqani. He was the head of all those suicide attackers that he was kidnapping these little boys. He was raping them, and then he was training them to go blow themselves. Blew the Americans, blew the Afghan National Army, the NDS department, all these different groups that were there doing their job during the enduring freedom in Afghanistan. And today he is he's training a battalion of those kind of people, and they are making it ready for future. And now they are thinking that they can conquer Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, and then they can conquer Pakistan because TTP is over there. And they are already dreaming that they're expanding this Islamic Caliphate, and they are also dreaming of the White House over here.
A lot of people would probably, this is me just thinking out loud as I'm talking to you, a lot of people hearing you right now who live in Islamic states or still practicing Islam, they would probably say that, well, you had American friends, you moved to America, and you traded the Afghan religion for the American religion. What would you say to that?
My message to those kind of people is that first, they need to educate themselves. Mm-hmm. With love, with respect. My message to them is that they need to start reading in their own native language. Do not read it to believe it. Read it to find the truth. Read it to make sure that you are on the right track. Because I read it and I was not on the right track. Like I was fooling myself. Like a lot of Muslims, they would say that, oh, we are Muslims. But then they served with the Americans. And then the Quran itself directly, it calls them that those kind of Muslims are hypocrites. They are hypocrites. Like if they come, they sit, they say one thing to you, and then they go, they sit with their own community, they say another thing. That's a hypocrite. But you have to study, you have to educate yourself, and you have to compare and contrast. Today you can find a Bible online. There is all kinds of availabilities on the internet. Just make sure to find the truth. Because Jesus, after I found out that Jesus said that he is the first and the last, so he concluded that topic that there is no one else coming after him. He concluded it right over there, like 600 before Muhammad was even born to this world. But a lot of people, because they are told by their parents, because they are forcefully taught from the very childhood to memorize all these verses while they do not understand the meaning of it. For those kind of people, I am an infidel, and whenever they find a chance, they'll probably shoot me or kill me, which I don't care about them anyways, because I'm saved, I'm in peace, I'm enjoying my life, and I have internal joy, peace that I never had before.
You know, I know you have a lot of friends here that you've really leaned on. One of them is Victor. Yeah. And as you're talking, I just hear a lot of Victor. And you, yeah. What's it like to have friends that share your faith with you here in America?
It is very good. It's to have faithful friends is one of the best things that I have experienced in my life here. Because of the freedom and everything, and you can always call them without any expectations at any time. You can ask for a prayer. If you're confused on something, they will guide you. They will walk you through the scripture, and they will show you this is what the Lord says about this. There is all kinds of motivation, support, humbleness, respect, a lot of prayers, something that I never experienced in my life before this blessing experience that I have had with my friends and communities, especially the friends with the Mighty Oaks Foundation. Every morning starts with prayer, every evening ends with the prayer. What else do I want?
Well, one of the things that I seen there in the Afghanistan withdrawal and the as you guys made it here is the Islamic community, the mosque did not welcome the Afghans here like the Christian church did, and it wasn't an evangelical thing. I seen the Christian church like open their doors, buy furnish apartments, buy cars, food, have barbecues, invitations over, and it wasn't an evangelical like way to proselytize to the Muslims. It was just welcome them to America. And the mosque didn't do that at all.
They did, yeah. Actually, the churches did it then. They are doing it now, and they are going to do it in the future, regardless of giving them invitations to come to the Christianity. But just as a courtesy, they were helping these immigrants, help them how to make your resume. That's one of the biggest things for the new immigrants when they come here. They don't know how to make their resume according to the system over here. And then there is a lot of sign up here, sign up there. That's something that would not be possible for the immigrants to do it by themselves, but it is from the blessing of all those Christian ministries, churches that they are offering all this help. I knew people from our church that he used his own car to teach the Afghan women how to drive, because in Afghanistan, a woman never touched a car. They didn't know how to. So
well, you had your own experience with that with Hatra.
Yes, exactly.
drove through your garage.
Like Hatra, at least she drove inside the garage in Afghanistan, like she was backing up my cars inside my
well, she drove through your garage here.
But right here, I remember, that was a very chaotic evening. And, a lot of people, volunteers from the churches, they actually help these immigrants to integrate, assimilate into their communities, giving them their cars, taking them to their appointments. Like if you don't have a license, a car in the United States, it's very difficult. Like even I remember my own first days, like when you were gone to Ukraine, I was here and I didn't have a license. I didn't have an Uber account. I didn't have a bank account. I had nothing. It was all because of my family and the Mighty Oaks Foundation, and then the family from the church. They were the ones that every minute when I needed something, I would call them. They would arrive with their car, and they're like, hey, let's go.
Yeah.
Without any expectations, without any, sharing any scripture or anything. They would just do things for me like if I was their family from the very first day.
Yeah.
And this all comes from a humble heart. This all comes from a loving God. This all comes from hope and prosperity and, what God has commanded us to do for each other as human beings over here. Because God's not coming he himself to do it for us. He uses other people from his kingdom. He uses it to help the ones in need.
We're his hands and feet.
Exactly.
Yeah. What would you say to, people that are here, some legal, some not, right? Mm-hmm. People that are here that how to embrace being here. I mean, there's a refugee mindset that says, okay, I made it here, now everyone needs to take care of me. And there's the American dream mindset that says, I'm here, I'm gonna lean in, I'm gonna be a contributor, and I'm gonna take every opportunity to be successful and bless the world around me with my contributions to the society. There's two different mentalities that happens.
Exactly. That's absolutely correct. Two different mentalities. Everyone wants to come to the United States. One seeks safety. Another seeks the American dream. I think the American dream is the best one to gain, to contribute as a full active contributor to your community, to your government, to the societies, to the churches, to the neighboring areas, and feel as this is home. If you're just here, to hide yourself for safety, but then you're holding on to different things, that's actually living in a two different world. And that tears people apart. My advice to all the immigrants who are documented or undocumented is this, that once you arrive here, you have to respect, you have to appreciate whatever you have over here. You have to be grateful for the freedom, for all the benefits, for the kind-hearted people, for every blessing that you see in this country. You have to be grateful for it, and you have to trust the system. You have to pray about it, and you just have to learn the law. If you don't know the law, you're stuck. You have to educate yourself. You have to learn every little thing in order to pursue life here in the United States. If you're here and you're just holding to your old traditions and you are not open for modernization, that will explode your brain. One day you're either going to kill yourself or hurt somebody else, because you cannot be two different mentality at the same time, because that starts a warfare inside your mind, which is very dangerous for your community, for yourself, for the people who are surrounding you. You have to adapt, you have to accept, you have to adjust, you have to be faithful, and you have to believe in yourself, and that's when life becomes easy and simple and beneficial and enjoyable.
I want to talk about ICE, Immigration's Customs Enforcement, the ICE agents. A lot of people around the world are saying ICE is terrible, what President Trump is doing to use ICE to get rid of criminal, illegal aliens, which starts with violent criminals, cartels, drug dealers, human traffickers, money launderers, all this stuff. But there's some regular people who illegally came here that are getting deported as well. So there's been a lot of heat on President Trump for doing that. But you have a system of millions of people that came here illegally that clogs up the system that you spent 10 years trying to come. As someone who did it the right way, who did the whole work, who did the paperwork, the applications, who came here legally, how do you feel about what this administration is doing with ICE to make sure that the legal process of citizenship is being upheld?
I took all those challenges, all those hardships, I accepted on myself and on my children to make it here to the safety. I want a safe place for my children. So in my personal opinion, I think ICE is not a threat. ICE is like a law enforcement personnel that they're doing their job. They are looking for people who have criminal records, who rape children, who are smugglers, who bring all kinds of intoxication to intoxicate our children. In my personal belief, I think the people of the United States and the immigrants, they all should support the mission of ICE so that we have a better communities, safer marketplaces, safer schools. So like when I send my child to school, I don't have to be worried about like him being intoxicated because of these drug dealers, like the cartel or whatever you may name it, that they bring all these different kinds of pills or, injections or whatever that kids could be easily manipulated and they would use it. I don't want something like that for my children, and neither you nor the American people. So in my personal opinion, ICE is not a threat. They should be supported with respect. and so that they can do their job to make our communities even safer and safer.
With we talked about the 80 to 100,000 Afghans that came here without being vetted. We know the borders were open, and ISIS certainly utilized the borders being open for 4 years to come into this country. I mean, what's your being here as a green card holder now, right?
Yes.
I mean, being here and having Hatra here and your 6 kids here. I mean, how do you fear that America is vulnerable to these types of attacks from people that aren't supposed to be here? These terrorist attacks and risks to our citizens?
Honestly, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's fearful, especially when I hear it on the news.
Yeah.
When I hear it from people who have worked in the very high positions and they think that there is a threat coming to United States either through these undocumented immigrants or through some terroristic groups. It makes me nervous. It is a time to question this and to find a better solution for it, because if people are not in the system, if people are not vetted, if people are not legally living in the United States, any minute, any second, they can do anything. Like they're probably facing financial hardships. They're probably, their families may be under pressure from the many different bad guys in many different countries, and maybe they are used as a tool to do something in their favor, in their benefit. So those are the things that comes to mind sometimes, and it's really fearful. But I have been praying about it, that God may protect our children, our communities, our people. Because if something happens like that, that's very dangerous, and that's not controllable. Because if you do not have somebody in the system, how could you track them? How do you know where its address is? Where does it come from? Who did it? Who is behind it? Who else is involved? There is all kinds of questions that comes to mind at the same time. I hope that the DHS and the USCIS would do something, I don't know what, to bring all these guys under a process of clearance, to give them clearance, whether they are good or bad, to stay in the United States, or maybe even move them to a place where, they could not move from there. Just stay there until their visas are processed. Like for me, it took me 10 years.
Yeah.
So why not for the other ones,
Yeah.
Everyone should go through the same process.
Right. It's safe.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
safe
safe
process.
for
Protects our
safe.
citizens, which
Exactly.
is the number one reason our government should exist.
Exactly.
Is to protect its citizens.
Exactly.
That's the number one reason.
Yes.
The fall of Afghanistan, I'll say, the withdrawal led to the fall of Afghanistan. A lot of people don't see it that way because they just see, America left there. But America leaving there led to the fall of Afghanistan, which led to a terrorist hotspot in the world. And we lost a strategic stronghold between Iraq, Iran, Russia, and China for the United States and the international community to be able to participate there. And now you have, Taliban, ISIS just running amok, having terrorist training camps, and the biggest victim of that is the Afghan women. Talk about you briefly mentioned it, but talk about the 20 million women and little girls who live under, I would say, not only oppression, completely removed of human rights, sexually enslaved from the ages as young as children. 6, 7, 8 years old. Like, what is life like for them, and how can everybody in the free world be praying for them? What could they do for those women, little girls? What do we need to know about Afghanistan?
Well, the life has been turned into a hell for the Afghan men and women and children, and especially for the little boys. Since the Taliban take over, because they're not allowed, the very first right is taken from them for education. They're not allowed to go to schools. They're not allowed to go to universities. Women was a doctor. Women was a nurse, a teacher. a wife. Women were at the Afghan parliament. Women were deputy ministers. Women were working in the TV channels, radio channels, and a lot of other good things like beauty parlors, like in the market street, they own businesses. But today, unfortunately, women is treated as an like an animal in Afghanistan. They are kept inside their house. They are born in one walled compound. They are raised in that compound, and they are married as a third or fourth wife to a guerrilla warrior of the Taliban, and they are treated as a tool, regardless of thinking about their hearts or their souls. Which, on one hand, if you look at it, because of all these different doctrine of Islam, on the other hand, when you look at it, is because of the Afghan masculinity, that they're embarrassed to express love for their wives or daughters in front of other people or give them their free rights, that God-given rights. Unfortunately, every day I hear the news that the young girl, when they are getting raped, they hang themselves. A lot of women, I hear the news, especially from Kabul, like the women that they have a few different orphans, and their husband died during the 2 decades of war in Afghanistan, whether he was an ANA guy or an NDS guy or a police or somebody or just a civilian. But today, some of the wives of, unfortunately, some wives, they just sell their bodies to make money so that they can feed their children. There is hunger, there is poverty, their identity is taken from them, their purpose is taken from them. They are not even allowed to walk on the market street without a male support. Women is not allowed to leave the country unless they have a male support with them. Either they are walking or driving in a taxi or in a bus or living in a house or, traveling. Everything is banned on them. Everything
What
is
would
taken
happen
from
if a
them.
woman was seen walking down the street by herself?
She is being kidnapped by the Taliban male police because they do not have female police. They on one hand they say that you cannot touch someone's wife because it's haram for you. See that this is the hypocrisy of these people, that it's obviously they're saying it but then they're doing it and they're not paying attention to it. They're touching somebody's wife because she's alone, she's by herself, and they push her, they grab her by the private parts, and they put her in behind the Ranger truck. They take her to a police station, which is full of these terrorists, like 20 or 25 of them over there. They take off their clothes, they make them to dance, and then they rape them the whole night. After 2-3 days or 4 days, they sliced it into pieces, they put it in a flour sack, and they drop it somewhere that nobody even know who did it, why they did it. A lot of such a cases happen. There is one eyewitness of such a case that she got the chance to flee the country. Now she's in Germany. There is, if anyone wants to see that, I can always send the link for them. Like there is hundreds of links, pictures, videos, proof. This is not something that I'm just making it up over here. There are people that they're sending me the information and they're telling me that this is what's happening in each district of Kabul and the other provinces of Afghanistan. And unfortunately, there is no accountability. There is no international watch. There is nobody to complain to. You cannot complain to nobody. If you complain from one Talib to another Talib, first he rapes, then he rapes. You get punished twice for defending your own free rights. So therefore, a lot of people, out of shame, they're just keeping their mouths shut.
In the international community, it's pretty grotesque to me. Like places like that express feminism and women's rights and stuff like that. They're silent.
Yes.
Silent about the Afghan
totally
women.
Silent.
No one's speaking up for the Afghan women.
Yeah.
And not only but we talked, Hiller and Hayden Moore in Louisiana, who we met with, and the former Afghan Attorney General.
Yes.
We had him on the previous show, and I mean, these people are sticking up for their groups, right? The attorney generals and the prosecutors, because I mean, we gave all the biometrics of all those people to the Taliban, a hit list, and they've been hunting down and prosecuting the prosecutors and attorney generals and the district attorneys who prosecuted Taliban. And so different people are protecting different groups, but I haven't seen much help for someone to stick up for the Afghan women, and it just really, really hurts. But I mean, so if you're listening right now, there's lots of things you probably could do that I'm not aware of, but at minimum, be praying for these women and little girls.
Yes.
I mean, could you imagine being just a little 9-year-old girl and getting drug off by some 60-year-old monster who's gonna rape you every day the rest of your life? Like, couldn't imagine. And unfortunately, the international community is not doing anything for them. And it's a atrocity. For those who are here in the States, I know there's a lot of things people could do for those who did make it here. We talked about the churches and welcoming them home. One of the things we talked about earlier was that the VA doesn't have a program for Afghan allied partners who fall alongside our service members, guys like you who, I've said the story before, you've saved my life multiple times. I've seen you save the lives of other service members. I have a life debt to you. America has a debt to you. And that's why I'm so proud that you did get your green card, because you deserve it because of what you did for this country, and you're a patriot and you're a Texan. But I mean, like, we owe such a debt to those who fall alongside of us, and they do need to come here with the vetting and stuff like that. So we talked about that, but when they're here, without having the VA and programs like that, the communities can welcome them in a different way. And one of the things you've done is early on when you got here, you said you want to help people like you. And so we opened up at Mighty Oaks the SIV program, which you run, which is Special Immigrant Visa Program at Mighty Oaks. And we have programs that we treat our wartime allies the same way we treat our service members at Mighty Oaks. And you've run how many programs now?
So far, we did 9 programs.
And that's with our friend Wayne Hughes and Serving USA at Sky Rose Ranch, California.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes at Serving USA funded those programs, and we had 9.
Nine
that's
programs,
a couple hundred.
Like 20 men in each program. We pay for everything, for travel, lodging, food, and I travel across the country. I talk to the Afghan communities. I find these people who are struggling pretty bad, and I invite them to sign up for our program and come and receive this 1 week of healing, spiritual healing, recovery, and get connected, rejoice. This has actually been very beneficial. At first, when I started it, it was a bit challenging because a lot of people comes from Muslim background, and our main legacy program is through the biblical faith. But luckily today, I am just sitting and a lot of people are emailing me and asking me and calling me. They're like, hey, when is the next program? I have 2 guys for you in this state. I have 1 guy in this state. I have 3 guys in this other state. When is the next program? So now people are finding out, and a lot of the Afghan communities, if they see me on this podcast, and the American citizens, if you know an Afghan ally who is in your community and you think he is mentally disturbed, or if he is having hidden wounds or hidden pains,
struggling to integrate,
integrating, assimilation or accumulation or whatever, just reach out to us in the Mighty Oaks Foundation SIV Legacy Program. If you go on our website, the Mighty Oaks Foundation, and then you go to programs, you will find the SIV Legacy Program. Sign up for our SIV Legacy Program. We have new programs, new year, and by the grace of God, we will be able to help you and teach these guys and equip these guys with tools and all the utilities inside them as a man to empower them with all these different knowledge to assimilate very well into the communities and stop living in the past and forget trauma and just kind of dust off their dust and walk as a strong and faithful man in the community and become a contributor instead of just sitting and crying and living.
Well, imagine if Rahman, right, the guy Rahman who shot the National Guardsmen, imagine if he would have had the opportunity to come to the program.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
we could have reached him, you know,
Exactly.
and let him know
Exactly.
that, you know,
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
a different way.
I thought the same thing about it. Like when I heard about that incident, and I'm like, man, this man is probably struggling from PTSD, all the trauma, and different situations, everything. There's people that that have a lot, especially the soldiers. What the soldiers main experience the same kind of serpentine movements on their hearts, especially when they are coming from the veterans or first responders background. It doesn't matter from what geography they come.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're Afghan American or whatever.
I mean, trauma is real, PTSD is real, but scripture is real too.
Yeah.
So it helps, and it enables all that connections, that frequencies inside the main body to get connected and get stronger and quit all that childish stuff and live as a strong man.
What are some of the? I mean, as I know you've seen a lot of things over these, several hundred guys that have come through. What's one of the most remarkable, like miraculous things you've seen in an Afghan come through Mighty Oaks?
One of the first thing that I see with the Afghan people is like after the marriage class, they confess that when they return home, they're going to ask forgiveness from their wives because they never treated their wife the way they deserved to be treated. Their daughters, their children, their parents. I mean, they immediately seek forgiveness. Like this is something in the Afghan community, like Afghan men, they do not ask forgiveness because if they ask forgiveness, they look weak. But here, through the biblical faith, by the grace of God, and from the blessing of the scriptures, they learn that how God commanded us to behave with our wives, to behave with our neighbors, to behave with our children, with our communities. They learn a lot of good stuff, like especially one of the things they learn that why men need to fight. Like life is all about fight. Like they never knew about legacy. Like they think that legacy is something like a physical thing that you leave behind and then after you are dead, it's being distributed among your children. When they find out about this spiritual legacy, the legacy that one leaves is like a book. Like when one passes away from this life and what's in this book, this remains for the rest of the time in the world, and everyone can learn from it. Everyone can read it and comment it and explain it. They learn a lot about the brotherhood, about marriage, about money and possession, and why men need to fight, what's PTSD, disorder, these different things. It's been very helpful. Like the first day, because when they hear it, it's through the Bible. First, when they sign up, they think that it's more like a clinical thing. When they come over there, when they see the Bibles in our hands, then they get a little bit grumpy on the first day. But as the classes continues and the Holy Spirit works, and then the second day you see them, their faces are shiny and they're smiling and they're laughing and they seem like we want more of this. Yes, please keep saying, please teach. Let's go to the breakouts, and they embrace it. They come with a lot of questions. Everything is very nice and neat, and they enjoy it. And once they go home, and then they start recommending new guys for us. So it's been a blessing to do this job of saving lives, restoring families, and changing legacies.
That's it, man. So those listening, first of all, any veterans, active duty service members, first responders, spouses of. Programs in Mighty Oaks are absolutely free. We even pay for travel. If you're a wartime ally that served not just Afghanistan, Iraq, you served alongside the U.S. service members and you're here, then you can apply for Mighty Oaks. We cover that training as well. And Aziz runs that program, and we have programs coming up in 2026. And so we talk about how can American citizens help, and not just a handout to those who come here, but actually be part of the assimilation process to prevent these tragedies by supporting those who actually deserve to be here and are here are not going to be our neighbors. Let's support them. And one of the ways you could do that is you could donate to Mighty Oaks programs. You go to mightyoaksprograms.org and donate there, 501c3, tax-deductible donations, and you're directly supporting Aziz's program and the program he runs. Aziz, I want to close with this, and I know you probably have something. I'll give you a chance to say whatever you need to say. But that book, Saving Aziz, is about you, about you and I's friendship and serving together. It's about the Afghanistan evacuation. You're the focal point of it, and it is. A lot of people talk about making a movie. It's on. They're actually making this movie, and it's about to happen. And what do you think about? Did you ever think a movie would be made about with your name on it? Hollywood movie, Saving Aziz?
It's actually amazing to hear this. I mean, it gives me energy, it gives me hope, and something that I never thought of about this that would happen in my life, like at least a book and then a movie. But this is all the grace of God and the blessings of God that He has blessed me and He has prepared me for this. Which I think that will help my legacy for my children and probably grandchildren and for generations that would be there to learn what true brotherhood means and what it means to care for each other for the same cause, for the right thing to do. And, there's a lot of things that we can discuss on this one, but it's impressive, and I'm grateful for it.
Well, you already have the origin story teed up. We have a book proposal in for not saving Aziz, but just Aziz, the book, and it's the origin story of your life, and that book's being prepared. And I think as if any publishers listen, I know there's some great ones out there. As soon as this thing's teed up, I think every publisher is going to want to do that book for you, and rightfully, you have an amazing story, and I can't wait to see it. The origin story of your life being in a book and what happens from there. And as you continue to, as God burdens your heart for the things you want to do beyond Mighty Oaks. I mean, there's so many amazing things that I know you have a heart to do, particularly, helping some of those women and little girls back in Afghanistan.
Right.
Want to see all this, create an opportunity, a bigger opportunity for you to be able to meet the burdens of your heart to serve and continue serving others.
Yeah.
I think you want to say something.
Yeah, actually, I have this message, like especially with this last shooting in D.C., there is a lot of like a cross culture. Everyone thinks of the Afghans, that Afghans are terrorists.
Yes.
I want to be very clear. When we're sad, we all feel the pain, the sadness, and the tragedy and everything, the trauma. I know it was not a good thing that happened, but it happened. We cannot blame a whole community just for one, bad guy who is either mentally disturbed or either belong to a terroristic group. I mean, there is good guys and bad guys everywhere. Like, I'll give you the example of that guy who shot Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was assassinated, but that doesn't mean that every American citizen is like that. I mean, there is good guys and bad guys here. Like the Afghans, you need to know about the Afghans. The Afghans is honor, loyalty, sacrifice, hospitality. Afghans love deeply. We stand by our promises. When we call someone friend, we mean it with our whole heart. And the clear example of that one is, like, first, our fathers served. Back in the 1979, when you look at it, we faithfully and honestly and loyally, our fathers, our grandfathers served with the United States in Afghanistan against the Russians. Remember, and go and study history. Russians invaded Afghanistan. They wanted Pakistan. India was already a communist party. They wanted to go to the warm waters, the Indian Ocean, and then the Arabian Oceans. And then every barrel of gasoline or gas or diesel that's coming through that Hormuz thingy, now that would be taxed the heck out of it by the Russians. Or it would be stopped by the Russians, or it would even not be allowed to come here to the United States. But it was the Afghans who actually put their lives in the front line, and then the Soviet Union collapsed. There may be other reasons why the Soviet Union collapsed, but one of the hardest part was the Afghans, that they blocked them, they hold them over there in Afghanistan. But then when you look at this 20 years almost, or 21 years to 2 decades. You know, I served, and there is other faithful Afghans served, and they are all living in fear, in anxiety, in depression right now because of what happened. And then their visas and their cases are all in the halt mood. So I'm asking you that when you're judging, you should not just judge everyone by one man, bad man, or, you know, mental person. And then there is good guys and bad guys everywhere. We have them everywhere. So I think that the Afghans who served loyally and they are vetted, they are over here and they came here legally, they should be proceed with respect and dignity, because that actually brings joy and happiness, and that actually eliminates all the frustration and the doubts and everything from our communities. We are all one. We are brothers. We love our Constitution. We love our country, the United States of America. We give sacrifices for it. But some talk about it, some don't talk about it. But honestly, Afghans paid a very, very big price for this beautiful nation.
Yeah. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you. Yes. I'm thankful for many of them. A few of them on my mind right now: Blade, Zia, Johnny, Wally.
Yeah.
Oh man, so many.
Yeah.
But man, thank you for sharing that. There's a lot of things I think maybe people listening understand, maybe people don't. A lot of courage in a lot of things you said today, and it's very valuable information. I think it'll help a lot of people understand this better, which is why I want to do this episode, to really just help educate and bring some perspective. Everyone in the news, including myself, hadn't been in your shoes, so to hear it from you is different, and it's appreciated. And love you, bro.
Love you
Thank
too.
you, man.
Thank you for this opportunity, and God bless my brother.
Yes. Aziz, one of the things that we have on the show is some amazing sponsors. I know you're getting your green card, which means you're going to be able to be a firearm owner finally, and you participated on Shadow Figures,
yes,
the TV show, which not everybody knows about yet. And one of the things we did in Shadow Figures is we went out and we looked for Bigfoot. And when we went out and looked for Bigfoot, we had this 1854 Stealth Hunter in 357 by Smith & Wesson with a Vortex Strike Eagle optic on it. We had Gators glasses on, Gemtech suppressors. We looked super cool. And the only one that wasn't kept walking around carrying this gun was you, because you didn't have a green card yet. Exactly. But now you're going to have one. And so we're going to make sure as soon as you get legal, right, because we're doing things legal, you're going to get this gun courtesy of our sponsor, Smith & Wesson, Vortex Optics, Gemtech, Gators Eyewear. And man, we have BioPro supplements. We have a BioAccelerator, stem cell therapy. We have Mighty Oaks Foundation. We have so many great sponsors. And one of our newest sponsors, who has a product that I have loved and used way before we went into partnership with them, is Silent. Silent is these Faraday bags, which, I know we use these in Afghanistan, use them with your electronics. You could take your phone, your iPad, and have it protected from a electromagnetic pulse, EMP, by having it protected in a Faraday bag. And no one can access your devices. It's completely protected and cut off from the rest of the world by being in these Silent bags. And so we have fanny packs and backpacks. We have tons of equipment. So you go on Silent's website and check out all the different bags they have. It's definitely something I use, and I could vouch for it works, because we were on an episode and I took my iPad and shoved it in a bag, and I looked for it for days. I was trying to find my device, and I'm like, man, I lost my iPad, and finding my device wouldn't work. Well, 2 weeks later, I found my device in a Silent bag, and I couldn't find it with the locator because the bags work, right? So these things are awesome. So guys, check out all of our sponsors' gear, and Aziz, can't wait to get the gun for you. If anybody deserves it, it's you.
Thank you.
Guys, if you have not done so yet, like this episode, throw a comment in for Aziz so you can know how much you appreciate this. Share it with someone. There's also be tons of clips on social media. Share those as well. And also join our Patreon. We have so much behind the scenes Patreon content. We're going to have Aziz do a little face-to-face Patreon piece with some additional information. So join our Patreon. It's one of the best ways that you can support the show, by becoming a Patreon member, as low as $5 a month. And we appreciate it. And we have merch, but we have some more merch dropping, so stay tuned. God bless you guys, and stay resilient. Hey, what's up, Brazilian family? I am so grateful for each of you who tune in every week to hear our episodes. We have such incredible guests and topics that I am passionate about, our team's passionate about, and we could not do it without you. So we're thankful for you. We love you. We appreciate you locking arms with us to be more informed, to become a more resilient community. And I want to invite you to become a tighter part of that community by joining us on Patreon. If you go to our show notes below, you can click the link and get dialed into our Patreon and get extra content weekly. You could join for $15 a month and get behind the scenes footage, get closer access to me. I have monthly Zooms that I'll be doing with some members of the community. And so we'd love to get more involved. Again, go below in the show notes and click the link and join today.